Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I'm Ruth Carter, the Liberty Coach, and I'm here tonight with another Parenting Live for you. We have a wonderful guest, Sharon Fevrier, today, and I have known her for a long time. It was a privilege today to write a blog about her, and I'm going to introduce her to you very, very shortly. It would be great if you can give her a lovely, warm welcome as we open up a discussion with another fabulous parent doing wonderful things. Let's welcome Sharon Fevrier. Hello, Sharon, and good evening. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. Good evening, everybody. How are you doing, Ruth?
I'm well. It was a privilege today to write about you. We've known each other, I feel like all my life, practically, but many years, plus 40 years, I would say. And today I was able to share a little bit about our history from, early days in primary school. We've shared different experiences. Some are similar, but I wanted everyone to kind of meet you because you're a very important person in my life. You're a long-term friend, but you're also doing great things and improving people's lives, especially those of children and young people and families. And I just wanted you to share who you are and what you do.
So, my name is Sharon Fevrier. I live in South London. I am the parent of one child. I used to live in Luton many years ago and then moved to London after being in university here. And I just felt that my life really would be here more so than Luton. I have experiences of work within children's services for many, many years, since 2003. And as a result, I've got lots of experiences of working with children, families, and so forth, and now children with special educational needs. But I'm an author of a book called Blossom Tree. I wrote this book and I wrote it and published it in 2018. So Blossom Tree is a fiction book. It's based on some of my experiences, but you have to add the flowers, as you always do with fiction. And it's about a young person's journey, a woman's journey through life, through love, through the challenges of health, parenting, relationships, toxic relationships, and the way that she has decided to maneuver through life in order to make sure that she has her essence, she keeps her essence, and she finds her freedom. So I'm not going to give too many of the gems away in the story, but there's lots of twists and turns, there's lots of layers, there's health difficulties, there's like I said, parenting, there's some relationship challenges, relationships with friends as well, and who she can rely upon and who sometimes could be a little bit of a challenge in her life. So it's about learning. It's a learning experience, many layers, like I said, and it's the twists and turns that seems to have people gripped when they read the book, which I'm very pleased about. I've had quite good reviews.
Absolutely, it was excellent. I personally enjoyed having that opportunity to read the draft. Like, I was on the phone, I read like a couple of chapters and I was like, what? So it was very gripping for me to read that, and it did touch on some of the experiences that many young women may face, especially entering relationships. Some relationships work out really fantastically well, while others can present with challenges, and sometimes you can meet the wrong person in your life's journey. And I think I took some gems, some nuggets away, especially with how Chantel was able to redevelop her life and really set aside and plan her finances, the way she was going to help, prepare for her child, future, so to say. So there were so many different things in there, starting on your own again. I've been through that, and many other parents may have been through that starting over again period or journey in their lives. But it's like you sang earlier on today, it's not to give up.
Yeah, we did sing earlier today. every disappointment is a blessing. And that's a lesson I've learned from my dad, because he used to say that many times. And through life, we go through so many experiences, but it's about how you learn from those experiences. And do you want to remain in a relationship that is potentially toxic towards your own children? Because our children are like sponges, they take in so much information. And I think the last thing that we want is for, you know, our children, our offspring, to be influenced negatively by all these external forces, if you like. We want to do the best for our children, no matter who you are, where you're from, where you live. You know, we always feel that we want to do better. We want our children to do better than us. But exposing our children to potentially toxic or damaging or, you know, abusive situations is not going to be beneficial for them in their lifetime. They will grow up maybe looking at relationships thinking, oh, my mum was like that, or my dad was like that, so I'm going to be like that. Well, it doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, we have to think about the children, their future, and how we can catapult them into a better life. And I think that's the essence of the book, really, looking at the way forward, looking at the positive ways forward. It's not always apparent to us at the time that we're in a relationship or a situation, a workplace, that actually we are being affected negatively. And I think it's really important to think about how we can move forward. You know, sometimes it's external forces, external people, our friends, our families, you know, they look on our situation and they say, oh, that doesn't seem right. Maybe you should do something about it. I don't think that's okay. I think that, you know, let's have a conversation. It's whether or not the person is ready for that conversation. And many times that person might not be ready for that conversation. But as friends, it's so important that we are there for our friends. We support them through their challenging situations. And especially if they have children, the last thing we want is a situation, like I said, that they're affected negatively.
Well, we've had our own experience in what you've just been sharing. And a few weeks back, you know, it really dawns on me how important the circle of interdependence really is. Your networks, the people that you have around yourself, your children, those that you can rely on for good advice, support, help. We have, you know, friends. Some of them are friends from, you know, the mothers at school. Some of them could be from coffee morning groups, family members, aunts, uncles, cousins. It can be as narrow or as wide as you want or deem necessary for your lifestyle and what you have got going on. My children have literally grown up with their cousins because my brother and his wife were a huge support to me and my family when we were growing up. They would be like on our circle of networks on who we would go to for help or advice. And just similar as to what you were saying, Sharon, that is the case, and that is also featured throughout the book. And you get to see who she goes to in her times of need when she felt so trapped, which some of us do feel like that in relationships, that trapped feeling. But we have to take a holistic view on the impact that our relationships potentially have on our children. Is it elevating them? Is it making them young, confident, vibrant, high self-esteem children? Or are they acting in negative behaviors where there's lots of screaming, slamming of the doors? You feel like you're a victim of abuse sometimes with certain environments. And I do feel that children are not their environments. You know, they're not their behaviors, I mean, they're their environments. And that is like a NLP presupposition that is used. So, Sharon, can you tell us a little bit? Like, I know we've got you as an author and also an SEN specialist. Now, I know you've worked in this field for 17 years. Woo!
Well, in children's services for 17, or if not, yeah, it's a long time. It's a long time.
It is a long time. And I can imagine that you've worked with many, 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 many families over those years, as well as those who have additional needs. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because you yourself, as an adult, from your younger years, have experienced those medical needs issues in your life. And as you've gone older, they've changed and remained the same, but you still have that struggle. Yet you're still in a position to help those with similar needs to yours, as well as a variety of other needs. How are you able to do that and achieve that on a day-to-day basis?
Well, that's right. So my condition that I have is sickle cell anemia. And so what that basically means is that it's a lack of oxygen flowing through the body, through the organs, through the joints, and it can cause problems in the long run. So I've had obviously crises in the past, but thank God I haven't had one for over a decade, which I'm really, really proud and happy about, because I've been able to manage my condition. However, I do have a visual impairment. And so basically what that means is that when it comes to even writing my book, I had to use some assistive technology, which has enabled me to write the book. So I think it's about finding ways, adapting, using different resources in order to carry on as normal. Resilience, I would say, is something that I have within me, and I'm not the type of person to give up. And if I start something, I would like to, my aims, my objective is always to finish what I've started. So when I decided I was going to write the book, I decided, all right, I'll write the book, I'll use some software, and it just flowed, and I was thankful. I think I decided to write the book also not just to tell the story of Chantel and some of the challenges and the dramas and the ups and downs and the kind of the ending, but also to prove to myself and to other people that actually, even though you may have difficulties with your eyesight, you can still achieve. You can still. I mean, I was looking at MasterChef the other day, well, some weeks ago, and there was somebody on there, I think is blind, that was blind, and he was very successful at cooking. So I thought, wow, it just goes to show that even if you have challenges, health challenges, you must still try. Don't just sit down and just think, oh, that's the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Your world still continues, and you must enable yourself to continue. So that was my passion, really, to just prove to myself and to other people that I was able to do this, and I was quite successful at doing it. And I'm going to do a second book. I'm going to write a second book as well. So I'm in the process of doing that. So I think when you're passionate about something, I think when you have a desire to go forward and produce something, don't let people stop you. Don't let people put you down. Don't let people say, oh, well, you've got this condition, so you can't. I'm not here to be limited by anybody. I'm here to make sure that I'm limitless. So that's why I keep pushing forward. And in my job as well, it's the same thing, even though, we face challenges all the time. And, working in social care, children's services, you're bombarded with casework all the time. It's a repetitive thing, but it's about pacing yourself, making sure you've got the resources that you need in order to keep going. And that's what I do. It also helps to have a good union behind you, because we do know that people with disabilities and challenges in that respect do have it difficult sometimes at work, in the workplace. And so it's also really, really important that, again, you pull on the resources that are around you. So whether you're a parent, whether you're an employee, sometimes we just need a support network.
Well, let me mention this to you, because I get contacted through either social media, email, from parents and schools in regards to advice, and schools have not long opened up. And recently I had a message late at night saying, I need help. So I asked the question, like, what do you need help with exactly? Well, what had transpired is I gave advice, because schools have just opened up. And this young man, he's got some needs. He's in year 7. So clearly from year 6 up to year 6, his needs hadn't been identified. The children have been off school for 6 months. This child's needs have not yet been identified. They've just started school and he's been excluded for 5 days Why? Because he was told just to get on with it. The young person got very, very frustrated and acted out in his behaviour. And as they were telling me the story, I was kind of filling in and saying, oh, he must have been, you know, feeling very frustrated by that. So I was like empowering in my advice to go to the GP, talk about the difficulties and challenges, go to the school, talk about that, get an assessment in place. Because my sister, who works in sixth form, we were just mentioning, and I didn't realise that when you get to further education and you're in need of assessment, you as the parent have to pay, and it's costly. So do you think that, you know, the children in the primary schools should be assessed more thoroughly so that we can catch them early? Because I've worked with young people born here in this country, age 16, and can barely write. And they are misbehaving young people because of that. And they can't hardly read. And they're 16.
And that is really disappointing. But really, it's down to the teachers and the parents. Okay. If they feel that there is a need, that the child has a need. And, you know, there are some parents who are first-time parents and they have a child at home. They're not sure if this is, you know, this behaviour is kind of to be expected, or if the behaviour is slightly different and that they should seek some kind of support. Sometimes they don't know. Even at nursery age, you know, sometimes the nursery staff can pick up on what's going on, what's happening. They will have a community paediatrician assessment, and the paediatrician may pick something up. That's really important, to keep an eye on your child. Any behaviours that you're really not sure about, speak to your doctor, because your doctor can make referrals as well. Not only that, if there are difficulties with speech and language, you know, the GP, the paediatrician can make an assessment, can make a referral also to you know, the speech and language team. But they will notify the parent. The parent can notify us, you know, special educational needs practitioners, to say, look, I'm unsure about my child's behaviour. This is what's happening. Can you please do an assessment? A parent can make that referral themselves to their local authority. So I just want to stress upon that, you know, if you feel that the school isn't making an assessment, there's nothing to stop you from doing that. Write a letter, write an email to the local authority, the SEN team, and let them know these are some of the behaviours, these are some of the assessments that have been carried out so far. Can you please assess my child? So it shouldn't be that you're waiting, you know, the parent of a child who is, or a young person who is at college, should have really picked something up throughout the time. But not only the parent, it should be the school as well. The primary school, the secondary school, they can all pick up all these different difficulties that the child and the challenges that the child's facing. So, you know, it shouldn't be that you get to 18 years old or 16 years old, you go to college, and all of a sudden, woohoo, there's a problem. It shouldn't be that way.
Well, Sharon, I've done like wellbeing programs in pupil referral units, where, you know, that's the place where those that have been permanently excluded go. And like, I've done small sessions with just 5 children, and I have found that the younger ones, like that are year 7 and 8, tend to be like very hyperactive, find it very difficult and challenging to settle down. And when I see that type of behaviour, I say, can you go and get me a book? And they go and get the book. And then I say, open up the book and read. And then they take the book and throw it. And I'll be like, why did you throw the book? And I can't be asked with this. And I said, you see what? Because you keep walking away from reading that book, you get further and further from what you really want to achieve. And it's when I talk with them, now they're about year 7 and 8, I ask them, when did you drop off learning? And they kind of identify sometimes as young as year 5. I said, what happened for you in year 5? Something may have happened, an incident may have happened that they've shared. but they just stopped engaging in the learning process. They found it better to be out of the classroom than in it. These strategies don't work long term because you then don't end up with an education. It doesn't mean that you can't get a fantastic, job or set up a new career. But if your behaviour's all over the place, people may not want to engage with what you've got to offer. It was what I tried to teach them about emotional intelligence and being aware.
They will use all types of avoidance strategies to get out of the situation. All it takes is for one person to say something negative about them in class, whether it's the teacher, whether it's one of their peers. It just takes something as simple as that. Then they no longer want to put their hands up in class. They no longer want to talk in class. They no longer want to ask for help because, it's all about how people will perceive me, how people will look at me. I recall speaking to a parent quite recently where this parent is quite concerned about their child going back to school last week. The child is only very young, 6 years old. And, from not being at school for 6 months, then all of a sudden being thrown into an environment where teachers have got visors and masks and the child has got special educational needs, it's going to scare anybody. But for a child with special educational needs, it's even more challenging. So then they kind of have all this fear and anxiety. They've heard the news. The parents have said, you must wash your hands, you must wash your hands. There's all this anxiety that's built up. And now the children are expected to go into school full time. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge for teachers because they want to keep safe as well.
Yes.
And they want to protect the children. So they wear the masks and they want to, make sure that everybody's safe and everything's cleaned and wiped down. But this is unusual behaviour for someone who with special educational needs who hasn't been in education, formal education, for the last 6 months. So, there's so many challenges at the moment.
So would there be like any changes to their education healthcare plan in this situation, that there has been a pandemic, that there has been, higher anxieties experienced, people not sleeping at night and things like that? Would there be any adjustment, or would there be like a phase in, so they would go in maybe for 3 hours? Would there be any changes or adaptation for what has happened?
No, what needs to happen really is that the parents would need to speak to the school staff. So it wouldn't necessarily be adaptations to the EHCP because the local authorities can't adapt thousands and thousands of EHCPs. So it's about having that communication, the parents having that communication with the schools having that communication with the parents. If the schools and the parents are noticing that there is something that isn't right, they don't feel comfortable, the child is not comfortable, have that conversation. Think about a slow integration into the school if that's possible. But it really depends on the child because every child is different. So it depends on the child's, how the child reacts to the new environment, the new way, the new norm, and they need to kind of be comfortable with that situation. But to sometimes expect for a child to go in full time straight away, it can be a challenge for some children. So they have to have that dialogue. The parent has to have that dialogue if they're really concerned.
Do you know, another concern that I did have is that, working in schools for over the number of years that I have, I work with children who weren't going into school beforehand. Sometimes they only came in on the one said day that I was going to be there, and they wouldn't come in any other day. But they were there, and my role was to help encourage them to re-engage back to school, which many of them did. But it's those ones that I know, I've worked with them, that have been in their home and they never was going before. Has there been a real increase in the recent return, knowing that there were kids who adamantly refused and there was nothing their parents could do to really get them back in?
I don't know about the amount or the numbers. What I can say is that I believe that at this moment in time, there is a lot of movement. There's always movement in boroughs and people moving homes and whatever not. Yes. But in my mind, I'm thinking about the families of children who have severe special educational needs, and the parents' ability to cope with them 24/7. Because it's one thing when your child goes off to school during the day, you know, and if it's really challenging at home, at least the parent gets a little bit of respite during the day, 5 days a week. But when a child is at home and has been at home all that time, it's a struggle for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, can you imagine the amount of children with behavioural needs that are at home or have been at home for all that time? Then all of a sudden, they're put in a situation where they are supposed to be going back to school. It could be that the parents can't cope in that situation with their child being at home all the time. Can you imagine the amount of children who are now looked after as a result? I don't know what the figures are, but I can imagine that there would be quite a few children who are not able to stay within the home because the parents might not be able to cope.
It's a shame. There has been, like you say, lots of movement, diverse changes within the family network. Some children have had to be removed from their home because of how their behaviour is with those in the household. Some mental health has spiked, safeguarding has spiked during this time. And I know it's important for the children to get an education. And I'm saying all children. I've worked in those with real severe, profound needs, blind, deaf, coming into school in a bed, literally, and working with them and just seeing their eyes move or glint or a smile. You know, I know that they're getting it. It's an experience. Learning is an experience. It's about what we retain and what we will use later on in life. I believe everyone has something that they can do. And those of you who are mentors or coaches working with children with challenged behaviours, continue to do it. They need us. They really, really do. Because for me, creating what I do online is the only way I can see a way forward for me being able to engage with them the same way how I used to in the classrooms.
Of course.
Because it is so, so needed. They do need a champion, and they can then become ambassadors of their own life and going back to help others with needs, just like what we've done. Because like you with a visual impairment, people know that I have one too, but like you say, we keep moving. Whatever your challenge may be, there is something that you can do very easily. I'm always saying, do that. If you want the challenge, do that, whichever way is right for you. So Sharon, we are coming to the end, but I will definitely have you back because we've had some comments come through from the parents, which you'll be able to see on the feed. And I have this book, The Blossom Tree, as well. So when I was at Sharon's book launch, I bought this book purposely for someone. I've had this for a while, but I've had it in my heart. This book comes with an intention. I wanted to give this book away to somebody because this book helped me, and I wanted to give this to help someone else. If you are experiencing challenges, you want to find keys and nuggets to get over, we have a little quiz, don't we, Sharon?
Oh, yes, we do.
So it's very, very simple. And I was thinking we should maybe give people an opportunity to, like, say, open it up, not to close it so quickly, to give people an opportunity to go to your website. So this is the challenge. It's quiz time. It's quiz time. And what we are going for is the book. The book. So this is the quiz. In order to get a free copy, now Sharon has kindly offered to sign it. How you can win this free is to go into the live feed or to go comment in or direct message by, should we say Sunday, Sharon?
Sunday, absolutely.
Yeah, by Sunday, what's the date today? Right, Sunday the 13th,
11th.
By say 8 p.m, you need to go to www.sharonfevrier.com. You need to take a snapshot of the post that she did at the beginning of the year. The quiz comes in.
The
What is
blog
the
post.
title of Sharon's blog post at the beginning of the year in January? So you will see it there on her website, www.sharonfevrier.com. If you come up with the answer and a snapshot that you've been there, put it in the Facebook feed or the YouTube feed, or even direct message us, because in the blog post it has our details. You will be the winner, and Sharon will put a personal message in for you, and that is my gift. And Sharon, because this is my book of intention, and because of that, Sharon's going to be given another lucky person. So we need 2 people. Like, you got your book, I got my book. Right, so 2 people get this opportunity, this wonderful opportunity. Yes, it closes on September the 13th at 8 p.m. That's UK time. If you're listening to this after the fact, the time would have passed, but just put your comments in the replay, because they will be much appreciated. Sharon,
But also, I'd like to say, if you're not a winner, then the book is available on Amazon.
Yes.
All major online retail bookshops, and also you can get it on Amazon Kindle, Apple Store, so you can get it on Apple Books as well. So feel free if you're not a winner, but there are nuggets in the book, and it does help to transform you and take you away from the situation that you're in. Mm-hmm. I know we're kind of feeling a little bit freer now, but we still have to be cautious with the current climate and the environment we're in. So I just want to really give a gift to somebody out there to say, you know, you can be inspired, you can be motivated, you can be encouraged, you can find your blossom tree too.
Amen to that. Sharon, you will be back. You will be back in November. I'm thinking of putting on like some experts within your field, doing special educational needs from different experts, just for different advice. I'm really encouraging you parents to put your comments in. I know you contact me on Messenger, DM, and that's all great. I'm really, really happy. But what I'm trying to do is put these people before you so you can ask them questions. Sharon's information is in the blog post. You can contact her in regards to her book. Only if in the area of Lewisham will she ever be dealing with your case. But if there are questions, when we have the experts on, please put them in the link. If you say, Ruth, oh, can you ask Sharon this? Definitely. I got her at the end of the phone. I can do that for you also. So thank you, Sharon, once again.
You're welcome. Really thank you for having me.
So that's it for us now. You'll be back, and I wish you all a lovely and fantastic weekend. I'll just say again, you need to go to www.sharonfevrier.com, and you need to tell us what the title is on the first blog post she has on 2020 in January. What is the title? And take your snapshot and send that through to us. So we will bid you all a wonderful good night and say goodbye. Say bye, Sharon.
Bye all.
Take care. God bless.
God bless. Bye.
Bye-bye.